Hello there, I am Okwemi. It's good to see you once again. If this is your first time seeing us on this platform, it's good to see you too. If you're a returning subscriber, thank you very much. And if you're yet to subscribe, make sure you subscribe and click on the notification bell button so that you can be notified when I put out a content on this channel. Like we do it usually, that we bring intelligence people on the show. Today with me, I have a lawyer and I have a non-lawyer. She's going to be talking from the layman's perspective. I have with me, sitting right beside me here is...
I am blessing.
Yeah, Bisola.
Thank you. On today's episode, we are going to be talking about domestic abuse, domestic violence. We all know how, prominent this is in our society today. We're going to be hearing from our lawyer first. She's going to tell us what she thinks domestic violence is.
Okay. Domestic violence is when a person, it could be a man, it could be a woman, abuses their partner. It can happen to anybody, different, be it race, gender, or any, social group. The truth about it is, you have to first identify that you're being domestically abused. When you identify this, that's when you can now start looking for solutions. You cannot prefer a solution when we do not know the problem. So until we identify that there is a problem, the law cannot prefer a solution.
Okay, Bisola, tell us, what do you think domestic violence is from your layman perspective?
Okay. Domestic abuse can also be called domestic violence or intimate partner violence. We all know domestic abuse is a crime. So I'll be giving an example. We all know youth, like for my gender now, majority of us are into toxic relationship, and the fault is coming from my gender. Why? Because majority of them don't want to leave this relationship because of materialistic things they get from their relationships. So because of this, they don't want to leave because they want to stay in houses that have POPs. They want to make videos in cars. Share all these things are the things they want to enjoy in this relationship that is stopping them from living such relationship.
Thank you. I would say that the law has made provisions for regarding domestic violence,
Yes.
right? Most especially, there's the protection against domestic violence law, and in that particular law, it has been defined, expressively what domestic violence is, because sometimes you can actually be in an abusive relationship and not know that you are in an abusive relationship. So first, I want us to understand that when we are talking of domestic violence, it is actually, something that happens domestically. Yeah, we're talking of relationships between spouse, between parents and children, guardian and children, people you are living with. These are relationship, people that are connected with either by marriage or by blood. So acts done to persons within this purview that the law has provided for, is when that is categorized under domestic violence. Now we also need to understand what this domestic violence is, because I've said earlier that you can actually be in a situation where you are domestically violated, but you won't know about it, because the popular one we all know is the
Physical.
yes, the physical one. So if people don't really see you going through pains or having scars on your body, or you fainting as a result of serious intense beating, and you come out to say, I'm going through domestic abuse, people might not really believe it, because the African mentality expects that you should persevere, tolerate, endure, and all of that. So blessing, tell us more about this physical and
The other types.
the other types of the abuse.
Okay. We have the physical abuse, as we
Yes.
all know. That's even what is more prevalent in our
In our
society.
society.
Whereby you see a woman always putting on glasses, maybe her eyes are all
And she
swollen
said she
and
fell down the
puffy,
stairs.
and sometimes they don't even have stairs in their house. And then they are lying that they fell down they fell down the stairs, and sometimes you see them with they are not even Muslims, they are covering scarf even under intense heat, and then you're wondering why. The truth is this: violence, it precedes the physical abuse. We have the emotional abuse, we have the stalking, we have financial abuse, we even have the psychological abuse. All these kind of abuses, it's not easy, especially now that it's just now that we are even being aware as Africans. Let me say it that way. Africans are now being aware of mental health. Before, we do not even think of mental health as a thing. It was not prevalent here in Africa. But until people started committing suicide, when when suicide became on the high, became rampant, became something, a source of concern to the society. Imagine training a child up to a certain stage, and the child is telling you because of one thing they want to kill themselves, they do not think they should live anymore. That's when people started paying attention to the mental health. Yes, that we have emotional abuse. There are some spouse that will just keep talking down their spouse. Nothing you do is good. Nothing you do is something that should be applauded. Nothing you do is something that they can praise you on. They just keep going on and on and on, and you keep wondering why. And you see, at some point, you see that person that used to be lively is now detached. The person is just, let me be on my own, because the next thing they will be hearing from their spouse is words that degrades them. We also have the psychological abuse, whereby somebody can say, I will hurt, especially when a child is involved. We saw that situation, and all heard the story whereby the man broke the arm of the child. Yes, the man broke the arm and ran away. So if he knew what he was doing was wrong, why keep doing it if it's not an intentional wickedness? So the man knew what he was doing was wrong. When he broke the arm of a 2-month-old baby, that child was crying, and he abused the child, and that child till today, they had to amputate their hand. So it's really pathetic. Some even use your children to threaten you. Some even tell you that they will kill themselves if you do not succumb to their desires. These abusers, they are narcissistic. They just want to gain control over everything about and around you. And even when you succumb to their authority, they are not even still satisfied. We have the ones who the woman is working or the man is working, and they seize your ATM card. They want to control how you spend. To them, they are copying your excesses, but that's not it. They are actually, when you see this controlling, prevalent attitude, it goes on and on and on again. It doesn't even necessarily have to be so physical. Some do not beat you. Some talk you down. That's verbal abuse. That's emotional abuse. Some use things to threaten you, even including themselves. Like maybe someone wants to marry you and say, if you do not marry me, I'll kill myself. That's psychological abuse. Because if the person succeeds then to get married to you, what they will do is they will keep threatening you with things, so that you keep succumbing and doing their bidding. So they just want to exert control. Some even stalk you. You see situations whereby a guy or a lady will connect her phone to your phone, and then every message that comes to you lands on their phone. They are typically in fact, your messages are their messages, your emails are their emails, and for me, it's not healthy
at all. Even your bank account, what goes in,
what comes in. Some even,
it.
maybe a friend sends you money, who they start asking you, who is this friend? The friend, let's say a name like Biola, a lady can be a Biola, a guy can be a Biola, and Biola sends you money. How do you now start explaining that Biola is your gender and not the opposite gender? So when you find yourself, because sometimes it's like you said, it's not easy to identify them. So when you identify them and realize that no, this is not healthy, you have to first tell yourself that this is not healthy. And until you realize that something is wrong, solution cannot be preferred. So those are the types of abuses that we have.
So Bisola, are there some more that you know that you would like to share with our viewers?
I'm going to direct this to everyone out there in toxic marriage. I don't want us to feel, because of what the public is going to say about being unlucky or not able to control their marriage, that's why they want to leave such marriage. But once you find yourself in a situation whereby your husband abuses marriage. So in order not to die untimely, and in case of trying to prove yourself to the public, you can get evidence. That's why we have our smartphones to make recordings, and just to make us have proof that yes, this is what I'm using to back up my point.
I also say that there is this part of abuse that people don't really pay much attention to is the financial abuse. This is something that is so prevalent in most African marriages.
Exactly.
I've never been married, so but I just feel it's something that is most, it's there. The man is not providing financially, the woman is bearing all the burdens for the children. But because of the way we feel, how much we value marriage in our society, not like marriage is not valuable, right? But the kind of prestige and perception, like you're married, there's a kind of respect that's attached to it that we do in this part of the world. Women don't really come out to say, my husband is not responsible financially. For example, not even husband, if you're in a romantic relationship with someone, or maybe someone you are related to either by blood or by family, maybe your in-law or something. Let's say you are staying with your cousin and you both are to be sharing the rent, right? And he stays away from paying rent. He doesn't want to be responsible for anything.
Yes.
And the whole financial burden is wearing on you. You have to pay all the bills while he just comes, parties and go. You are being violated, my friend. You might not just know, because it's affecting you psychologically. It's affecting you financially. So if you're in a situation where someone you are staying with domestically should be responsible financially, but they chose not to, and everything is resting on you, it is also financial abuse, and the law provides for that. You can come to the court of law to seek redress. Now, if you are in a situation where you are domestically violated, what do you do then? The Protection Against Domestic Violence Act has provided that if you are going through that kind of situation, you can come to the court to seek protection order. You go to the court, you make your complaints known, and you get protection order. This protection order protects you from that person. The order allows them to stay away from your home, stay away from your place of work. At least you know that you are safe. And the law also, provides for counseling. Once that order is going on, the both parties, they go for counseling, because it is actually a traumatic and tragic situation. So don't just stay quiet, sitting down in a abusive relationship in whatever form, be it emotional, be it financial, be it
Psychological.
yeah.
In addition to what Okwaya said, yes, the law provides for it, and in situations whereby a partner is physically violent, I think this is more prevalent, because in as much as the person is physically violent, it doesn't mean that it ends at just physical violence.
Yes,
First,
to others.
You see, when we talk of physical violence, psychological violence is in there, financial violence is in there, emotional violence is in there. So I think it's just summed up that they are now finally taking it beyond the place where someone cannot see to the place where people start seeing it, and they start trashing, that's beating and battering somebody, which on its own is a crime. So now, in as much as the law has protected you, even your emotions should not make you go back. It doesn't mean you stop loving the person. Sometimes, in fact, it has to do with a love relationship, more like. It doesn't mean you stop loving the person, but for your sanity, for your protection, and in as much as you're saying you want to stay alive for your kids, that's why you're there. Please walk away. At least, we are not saying divorce. Temporary separation for the time being. As Okpa said, you go for counseling. At least let these things until they are managed to the extent whereby you feel safe. Maybe to return again to that relationship. Please don't go back. Don't keep we should not keep in the name of marriage. Yes, I've not been married before. You can say, we do not have an idea or understanding. We have not been married before, but we also have emotions, and we have people that who we've seen these things happen to, and then some of them died. I personally know some in my area that died, who she died as a result. People were saying, go, leave this marriage. And she was like, oh, her children, they are 4. And this man killed her in 2020. Now, are the children are alive? They are. Is even if the man runs, because I mean that's the next thing that happens. The man runs.
You see, from these points that you have stated, I feel some people, they want to live right. And I say, okay, somebody is even being violated and they actually know, and they want to live. But maybe you feel your partner is stalking you, and if they see you going to a lawyer or going to the court, and you come back, they can likely kill you. The law also provides that you don't even have to come and make the complaint yourself. Someone who has your best interest at heart can come and do that for you. A member of the Nigerian police force can do that for you. Maybe a teacher that noticed that, oh, this kid is being battered at home, the child is not psychologically all right. That teacher can, do that for the kid. But in the scenario of an adult, that can only be done with the adult giving consent. You just have to, okay, fine, please help me. Even though you can't do that yourself, you can give consent for other people to come and make complaints on your behalf, so that the protection order will be issued and at least you will be safe away from that abuser. So in the case of children, maybe someone that is mentally retarded, someone that's not, psychologically all right to be able to come and make complaints for themselves, people that have their best interest at heart can also come to the court to make, request for that protection order.
And what we are saying is, do everything you can to stay safe. Do everything you can to stay healthy. Remember that there's hope only for the man who is alive. And when we talk about domestic violence, it's not just about relationship. It could be the brother, their brothers beating sisters, or the father battering, taking, some adults, especially in Africa here, we take out our anger, our frustrations out on children. And you see some people take mates and they will go and take someone's child and they are like, they want to help them or they want to put them through school. They are really doing that, but how are they also dealing with that child when the child commits little errors? What you would not do to your child, you're doing it to someone's children or someone's child. Some even do it, to their own children. You see, I even heard of a story whereby this man, he lost his job after marriage, and all he was doing, he was venting out his frustration on his wife. You take the man will take an iron, connect it to electricity and burn the wife.
It's not
like
normal.
Ordinarily you'll be like, you seeing it, even if you've not been married before, even if you are hard-hearted, you feel bad, like, why are you doing this? Can you put this same iron on your own body? And even little burns, you're feeling in extreme pains. How much more someone deliberately plug the iron, not as if it was ironing, it just goes plug the iron and then ironing someone's skin. Imagine that kind of trauma. That kind of abuse is extreme. It's, in fact, domestic abuses or domestic violence, they are extreme, and it can happen to a child. It can happen to some men are being abused by their wives. I heard of a story whereby the woman is the one that beats her husband, and then she calls people acting as though it's the husband who beat her up, and at the end of the day they finally got to know that it was the woman who was always beating the man. So sometimes it's the man beating the woman, sometimes the woman beating the man, sometimes it's the parents who beats up their children. There's a place of correction, there's a place of abuse. So until we know where to draw that line between love and anger, or between love and hatred, especially when it comes to disciplining a child, it can transcend from place of correction to the place of abuse. So we have to be cautious, even among siblings, even amongst friends. Maybe two friends living together, like Okwe said, one will party all day all night, and then the other one is footing bills, paying rent, just because they do not want to be thrown out of the house. So please, we are just saying is just be safe, like we've said. Be safe, stay healthy, pinpoint these things, and know when to walk away.
In addition to what she said, anyone in a toxic relationship or toxic marriage should leave, and not say because of shame he or she doesn't want to leave such relationship. It is better to leave so as not to lose his or her life early.
Yeah. And speaking of shame, there's no need to be ashamed because the law already provides that proceedings regarding domestic violence, they are quite crucial, they are quite sensitive, so they are not done in public court. That is, it is only the parties involved, witnesses, and persons that are there to console the complainants that will even be allowed into the courtroom while this is going on. So you don't have to feel ashamed in any way. No, people will know I was beaten, my esteem, and all of that. Come out. It's after the whole proceeding is even done and the person is maybe locked behind the bars. That's when people will start to know that, oh, maybe you were going through all of that. So don't be ashamed. Come forward. Even documents that concerning these matters are also kept by the law. So if you are out there and you have the tendency to be violent on people, to abuse people, this is a psychological problem. Apart from the fact that you need to start working on it, take note and bear in mind that there is punishment for it. There's 3 years imprisonment and a fine of 200,000 naira. And if you are the one that incites somebody to violate another person, you have 2 years imprisonment and a fine of 300,000 naira, or even both. At this stage, we are going to be closing the show. It's been nice talking to Blessing and Bisola because we had a nice time here. I don't know about you. We hope to see you in the next episode. Don't forget to subscribe. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.